So unfortunately, you may have recently experienced the pain of a parent or a loved one passing away. In addition to all this grief that you might be feeling, there's also the very stressful items that you have to do, like talking to other family members, letting people know about their passing, dealing with that, perhaps writing an obituary, cleaning out the house, making sure that there's no one coming in and taking things, right? This can be a very, very stressful time of transition. I want to help to make this be as simple and as stress-free as possible so you can go through the grieving process and still uphold all your legal duties and responsibilities well. So the first thing to do when somebody dies is to let people know. You'll want to send out a message, an email, alerting people, letting them know that there'll be a memorial service coming up, just so everyone can be on the same page and nobody feels left out. This is really a process where you want the whole family to come together and to be able to support each other. And you want to have as much communication as possible so everyone feels like they're an integral part. So you'll want to make funeral plans or memorial service plans. A lot of times your loved one has already detailed this in their advanced healthcare directive, or maybe they've written out songs that they want to be played at their memorial service. Perhaps they want a celebration of life. Maybe they've made burial arrangements. You'll want to look into this to see what your loved one wanted so you can honor them in the best way possible. Now, I want to emphasize that when your loved one dies, from a legal perspective, there's nothing that you need to do immediately. Like, you don't need to file any papers. So I encourage you just to focus on getting the memorial service going, mourning with family members, whatever you need to do emotionally to be able to make it through this time. Now, one thing that is important though, is if your parent owned a house or even rented one, you want to secure that house. So go ahead and you can change the locks, do whatever it takes, because they may have, a housekeeper who has an extra key or somebody else. You want to make sure that nobody can break into the house and remove things, right? So secure that house. And of course, at my firm especially, we're big into pets. We love our fur babies. So please make sure immediately that every fur baby is taken care of, that they have temporary or permanent homes. Your loved one may have already left instructions on this, and if so, to carry out their wishes as much as they can. Also, you want to set up mail forwarding so you can get their mail, so if anything comes up immediately, you can address it. You'll want to cancel whatever services are set up that are not integral to the running of the house. So what do I mean by this? Like, if they have cable or internet or a phone, you can cancel those right away. Now, utilities and water, you want to keep those running because you'll need to run the house a bit longer. So besides notifying family members, there's several important people that you should notify. First of all, let the Social Security office know. So if your loved one is receiving retirement payments, or let their employer know. So if they're receiving a pension, they can end that. So you don't have to reimburse them in the future. They can end it right away. And also, you should let trusted advisors of your parent know. So let their estate planning attorney know, let their financial advisor and their accountant know. These are really the trifecta, I think, the three people, the professionals who will help you through this process. Again, at this point, the professionals don't need to do anything, but at least they can start getting the file ready and finding out which documents you need. After about 2 weeks after your parent's death, you should be able to get certified copies of the loved one's death certificate. And usually you can get this from the funeral home that you've worked with. Usually we recommend about 10 certified copies because you just don't know what's going to come up and who will need them. And during this process, you also should identify all the assets that your parent owned. So maybe your parent or loved one had a list of assets. Hopefully they did. We always encourage our clients to write up a list of all the different things that they own in the places that they own them. You can also wait for this to come in through the mail. A lot of times people will receive bank statements monthly or quarterly, and you can figure out what they own that way. So now you're ready to call your estate planning attorney. Okay, and a lot of us have a questionnaire that we'll have you fill out, and it asks for a lot of this information, like what assets did they own, which different types of assets. Some of them might have been in the trust. Some of them, like retirement accounts, might have been outside of the trust. You can work with the parent's financial advisor to find out all of these things. And again, look to see what's in the mail. Unfortunately, there's no depository. There's no place where you can look up somebody's social security number and find out all the assets associated with them. I wish there was, but it's really up to the parent to keep careful track. Also, if the parent has prepared a Schedule A at the back of their trust, that's another place to look, see what your parent had owned. So at this point, you can meet with the estate planning attorney and determine the different steps that will be needed to wrap up the parent's estate. And I have a special video talking about those steps that are taken during this process, which we call trust administration, and you can watch that video right over here. And then the last thing to do during this time is to close up accounts. So what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, you should cancel your loved one's driver's license or senior ID card so that there won't be fraud. Somebody else won't try to use their information. Also, you can close up their credit card accounts. If they owe money, you should talk with your estate planning attorney to see if you need to pay that, or sometimes you could negotiate a lower amount, but that's something to speak with your attorney about. And you can start notifying banks and financial institutions. Now, the drawback of notifying banks is that they will probably freeze the account. So again, work with your estate planning attorney to see what the timing should be for notifying all of the banks. And sometimes when you notify the financial advisor, they'll take care of those larger bank and brokerage accounts. But if you're the successor trustee, you should be able to manage it right away. You just might have to fill out some paperwork to send to them. You'll also want to close out the loved one's email accounts and social media accounts. Sometimes you can get, like on Facebook, you can do a memorial page like remembering so-and-so, and people can write very nice things about your loved one. And that helps to bring closure to their friends who maybe weren't as close as family members, but they still have a way of interacting and remembering the good memories. And of course, you also want to notify voter registration. So again, this can avoid voter fraud, that nobody tries to vote under a deceased person's information. So hopefully this list of immediate things to do after a loved one has died, I hope that this has been helpful to you. And again, my heart goes out to you during the grieving process. This really is, it's a process. In the probate code, there's no like hard and fast deadline. Usually it says upon a reasonable amount of time, and each person treats this differently. But we are here to help you through this process. We do the trust administration, and we're happy to advise you through everything that needs to be done. So feel free to reach out to our office and book a time where we can meet and talk through the specific steps of the trust administration.